and welcome to Abnormal Presence Touring Talkies. I'm Kamla Iyer. Today I'm taking an interesting detour from my regular sartorial suffer to do an episode on Sassy Saristas. After all, the sari gets a lease of life due to the wearer. So going forward, I'll try and pepper the sartorial suffer with some interesting interludes of Sassy Saristas. And who better to start this detour with than my guest today? If you ask her what her superpower is, I'm guessing she'd probably say, well, I'm a woman. What does the hashtag 100 Sari Pact, TED Talk, Pinkathon Ambassador, fitness enthusiast, yogini, raconteur, and communications professional all in one power-packed life sound like? Undoubtedly, that is Anju Modgal Kadam, my special guest today. Anju is the founder and chief nurturer of the powerful, internationally acclaimed movement, the hashtag 100 Sari Pact, a platform for women, voices of women, to build the narrative of their lives through the medium of the sari. Anju enjoys the challenge of piecing together a story to look at the big picture. It's my great privilege and honor to have Anju on my show today. Welcome, Anju, to the show.
Hi, Kamla. Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure and my honor to be here.
So, Anju, tell us, the 100 Sari Pact, the hashtag 100 Sari Pact. That started as a viral movement in India and internationally. It spawned off a lot of sari groups and renewed interest and, dare I say, fresh energy into the 6 yards. It actually made the sari almost a fashion statement yet once again. Tell us what you innocuously started as a pact between friends. Did you even think for a moment that it would become such a big movement? Talk us through what your entire experience with starting something actually seemed like.
So, Kamla, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. It was not a planned strategy. It was not, I'm a communications person, but this was not something that I planned. This was not something that I said, oh, let's do this, and then the world will join in. Not at all. And I always believe that the magic really happens in small things. You know, when small things become big things, that's when the magic happens. The 100 Sari Pact was magic. It's been perhaps my greatest riches in the last decade for me. Why? Because it connected me with women, with strong women, with women who had their own saris and their own stories that they were telling through the saris, and women who brought in to my life, apart from the pact and for two other women, brought into my life almost like a new lease of life in terms of energy, in terms of perspective, in terms of reflection. You know, we women tend to take, sometimes tend to take ourselves too seriously, sometimes tend to definitely take life very, very seriously because of the kind of responsibilities we all shoulder. And knowing through the stories of others that you are not alone is a huge strength that all of us have gathered from the 100 Sari Pact. And I think that is the magic of the pact. The pact, I've said this before, we were mere catalysts. I think willy-nilly, women would have found a way to tell the stories of their lives. This time, some women who wore saris around the globe told the stories of their lives through the sari. Others joined in as spectators. Others joined in as cheerleaders, even if they didn't wear the sari. It was a movement that even men joined in terms of telling some. I've heard many men tell me stories, sari stories. So the sari became like this ubiquitous medium, almost like a platform through which stories of lives unfolded, and also to point out that this was not. You know, in one sentence, I'll say this and you'll get it immediately, as will your viewers. It started on 1st of March 2015. That's when I posted my first post. And by the seventh, a lot of our friends and friends, so it had already begun to go beyond our immediate circle. And that's the magic of social media, right? The amplification of a voice. By the 15th of March, I was being asked by the Indian media which Bollywood heroine was doing the 100 Sari Pact.
Okay.
2 days later, BBC called me and said, why is it important for women to tell and talk about the extraordinary moments of their ordinary lives? And that's what the 100 Sari Pact is, was, is, and will remain. It will remain the voices of very ordinary women. And if in that ordinary women, there are some celebrities, that's apart from who they are.
Yeah.
So it's been magical. It's been a magical journey of 5 years. It still continues. Sometimes I still get messages from women saying, I'm sitting in New York Square and I'm sitting with 3 women I met on the 100 Sari Pact, and then now they're my great friends. I'm like, wow. and I'll get I just got a message 2 days ago from Baroda of someone saying, ma'am, hum ye kar rahe hain, aap please aake Zoom pe judge kijiye. And it's the nicest thing, the kind of connections that we've made. I've used 2 hashtags on the 100 Sari Pact apart from the 100 Sari Pact hashtag itself. One is we are all connected. I firmly believe that. And if anyone did not believe it, I hope that the COVID times has made it amply clear how much we are connected in thought, in deed, in mind, and in spirit. I believe that. I truly believe that. And I use the hashtag we wear our history, because I really think that in every sari, and we're going to talk about that. I know you're going to talk about that. There's a bit of our history. So yeah, short answer, long answer. I don't know. You tell me.
Beautiful. Actually, the intangible the Sari Pact created, like you rightly said, are these friendships, bonding around this fiber called the sari, which kind of spun tail or web or whatever you want around women. And those friendships actually endured well beyond the Sari Pact. So you kind of created a movement far beyond just the hashtag 100 Sari Pact, like you rightly said, into this we are together, kind of move.
Absolutely. Kamala, I've said this before, and I will say this again. If you are my friend, you will do the 100 Sari Pact maybe for 2 sari wearings and then say, okay, Anju, it was nice. Now I need to get on with my life. Why did women join from all over the world? Women who did not know us, they made the pact their own. They may not have done 100, they may have done 50, they may have done 25. They set a target and they did it. So, which is why I always say that the 100 Sari Pact was a pact between 2 women. But the 100 Sari Pact became a platform of storytelling of many women. It could have been through the wearing of 1 sari. It could have been through the wearing of 100 saris. It could have been through the wearing of no saris at all. And that's what the 100 Sari Pact became. It became a medium of storytelling. And it lasted because everyone who participated, whether they were audience, whether they were onlookers, whether they were family of women who were telling the story, whether they were men who were telling the story, they got something out of it for themselves. And this is intangible. This something out of it can't be quantified and can't be monetized and can't be, all of those economic terms don't apply to something like that. It's a feeling. It's an emotion.
Yeah.
Everyone felt special. Everyone felt like they were answering the question, who am I? And everyone else was joining in, telling them that they were fabulous. To get that kind of endorsement from people you don't know, people you haven't met, where you're making yourself vulnerable on social media by telling sometimes very deep secrets of your own life, very personal details of your own life. And then receiving this energy from out there that says, you are enough, you are wonderful. I mean, I think that's powerful, Kamla. I think that's very powerful.
So tell me, Anju, what were your personal, most enduring moments or personal takeaways from doing something like this?
I've had 5 long years to think about this. Every year I add some more lessons to it, really. So I think something like that has to be savored. These are moments that need to be savored through life. These are lessons that I will carry through life. These are not transient. These lessons, they have in a sense defined me and made me who I am 5 years later. If you had asked me when I was 20 or 25, I've always been like the woman who's been with the guys, just preferred that, right? Somehow the energy of women in their 20s and 30s didn't agree with me. And I find this resonates with a lot of women, actually. I think that we're all figuring ourselves out. We're all slightly competitive. It's also the way society has brought us. You have to be the best. You have to be the man. You have to do this. You have to do this. You're sort of always comparing. You're always trying to tick something off the box. Tick the box. You're always trying to fit in and stand out. And it's such a confusing time. In my, you agree, don't you?
Absolutely.
In my 40s. I found being surrounded by the feminine energy, I call it, and feminine energy can be in men and women, really, but the energy of reflection, the energy of adapting to something, of change, of softness, of understanding, of growing, of nurturing, of learning. These are very feminine energies. And this is not to say no man and woman. Okay, I again want to sort of make this very clear. I'm talking about the energies, the yin yang that we talk about, right? The aggression is a masculine kind of energy. The softness is a woman energy, feminine energy, sorry. I found that this was becoming quite interesting for me. When the 100 Sari Pack began, I got very scared, Kamla. Got very scared in the first 10, 15 years. Ye kya hua? What is happening here? All the women are now doing. How am I going to handle this? There's going to be, what is this going to turn into? I was silly. I should have trusted ourselves more, perhaps. I'm owning up to this. What unfolded was beautiful. What unfolded was women standing up for women. What unfolded was groups being formed where they said, I believe you. And diverse groups, huh? It's not like everybody was one happy family. I mean, that's not what I'm trying to say at all. While the threads of the sari sort of bound us in this lovely positive space, there were little spaces created. And I think that was a big takeaway for me. That when you put out in the world positivity, honesty, you don't negotiate with your non-negotiables. This is my persona, Kamla. This is who I am. Whether it's at work or whether it's at play or whether it's at home, as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, as a professional, as a boss, this is who I am. I'm a strong woman. I do not apologize for my strength. I will not sit at the table to prove a point. I will sit at the table and raise my hand to be heard. Yeah. This was a big takeaway, that there were other women wanting to do that too, right? There is solidarity in belief. There is solidarity in knowing that you are not alone. And that was a big takeaway. The other takeaway for me, and I completely realized that my circumstances, the way I have lived my life, has made me who I am. And other people may or may not have had that opportunity, or those circumstances, good or bad. And so it also taught me to be humble. I'll tell you. There was one story that it's just branded in my brain, literally. There was one story, and now she's become a good friend, in fact, where someone said, I'm wearing this, it's called a Doria sari. It's a very loose weave. It's a cotton loose weave, for people who don't know what a Doria is. It's from our mother's generation. It's a loose weave, and it tends to fluff up. Normally always starch, tends to fluff up when it starts, and otherwise just go very limp when it's not. And she was out with no other than her mother, who you can imagine would be the champion of her daughter, and she has a fantastic relationship with her mother. And she said, I bought this sari 3 years ago with my mom and my sister. And they said, I'm going to say this in Hindi because that's the way it was said, and then I'll translate it in English. And they said, "Ye mat kharido, moti lagogi." So don't buy this. You look fat in it. How often have we done this to each other? Tell me.
Quite often,
So,
yes.
Yeah. So this is not a mean story, huh? This is an everyday story of our lives, right? And she says, 3 years later, I'm wearing this sari and I don't care. Very simple story on the face of it. Very deep when you think about what we do to each other, even casually, right? A mother does to a daughter. I'm sure I've done it to my own daughter sometimes. So humility. The 100 Sari Pack taught me humility, taught me that every story was a good story. I'm asked very often, which is your favorite story? Typical, right? And I'm like, how do I choose? These are my babies. How do I choose between which story is better or which story is worse? I can tell you stories that I remember that are, this one I remember, is it a special story? I don't know, you decide. So humility, that everyone's voice was important to them and therefore to us, that every story was important, every story needed an audience. So humility, I have grown a lot as a woman. I have attracted positivity. I have attracted now a tribe of women and men who have seen me very publicly play my life out in the last 5 years, and have stood by me in all of my honesty, in all of my madness, in all of the mess that I am. And I have learned to speak my truth. I think those are very big takeaways, no?
Absolutely. And come to think of it, most of these are life lessons, and I think life is an interesting way of dealing lessons, right? So
and how beautifully taught.
Absolutely, you'll remember that for a lifetime. So very well done. I think you managed to impart those lessons through the pack to a lot of us, and I could identify, and I was shaking my head vigorously to everything you were saying because I could identify with every single thing because it drove the point home so clearly. That that's what the sari meant to people, and that's how the life lessons came out through the sari. So an interesting thing also happened after the 100 Sari Pact started was you were invited to the TED Talk and you were with the heartthrob of millions, Shah Rukh Khan. So there were a lot of women in the pack who were probably very jealous of you. So this cute dimpled smiles and the outstretched arms that we are all used to. Did that kind of blow you away? Talk us through your experience of the TED Talk.
It was special for sure. I've written about it extensively.
Yeah.
So TED Talks are, their tagline is "Ideas worth spreading," and at that time, TED was making an entry into India in terms of a television program. Only the second time they've done it. I think once they've done it in Canada and then once in India now. And they were looking for people who had started something that was impactful. Did this come in the I have invented something that can take carbon dioxide and make it into something fantastic? No, it's not that kind of thing. And which is why I found it quite hard to believe that they wanted to talk to me. So one research assistant called me and he said, we want to talk to you, Anju, about this. Sahil, lovely person and a friend now. And he was trying to kind of match what he had perhaps read in his research on the internet with the person he was talking to. And just asked me, oh, you do this, and oh, you've also done this, and but what else do you do? And I'm like, "Theek hai." And he said, I'm calling on behalf of TED. I really thought, Kamla, they were asking me. In my day job, I'm a communication specialist. I do a lot of branding work. I do a lot of messaging. I know tons and tons of people. I thought they were calling me to get a connect with someone else. And I thought, ठीक है, like, okay, fine, state your business, bhai sahab, what is it that you want? And, I thought, in Bangalore, can you introduce me to so and so? I said, yes, Sahil, yes, Sahil, yes, Sahil, I do this. Yes, Sahil, I do Pinkathon, thinking maybe you want something from Pinkathon. Yes, Sahil, I mentor. Yes, Sahil, I do entrepreneurship. And then he said, let's talk about the 100 Sari Pact. And I'm like, in my head, I was going, why? Why do you want to talk about the 100 Sari Pact, Sahil? And I said, sure. And then he said, with our research, we've seen that it's had a huge impact on women. And then I realized what this was about. So I was walking on my balcony. I think the phone almost fell from my hand. And I kind of sort of held it and I said, okay. And then I got myself together and I realized what this call was about. So we had this call. We had about 20 iterations of that script,
Wow.
with New York, with the team here. It's a simple talk. It was given 3.5 minutes. It was in the women's special of that program. And of course, the cherry on top, which we were told later, not at that time, was that Mr. Shah Rukh Khan would be presenting the program, and we were to speak, about our talk at that time on the stage. TED Talks do not have teleprompters. In fact, Shah Rukh was the only one who had a teleprompter. So you had to learn up everything. You had to say, and the whole point really is that can you speak about your story with belief and with conviction? So I did. And for everyone who was jealous of this, I've written a post and I've always said this, that I stood tall on your shoulders and told our story. It was not just my story. And therefore, that script, when I was writing it, I have had moments of a meltdown. I have cried, I have laughed, and I have just stood there and said, I got to do this for everyone who ever told their story on the 100 Sari Pact. Because I was not talking about my invention. I was talking about our stories. So it was beautiful. The experience was wonderful. The team was wonderful. Mr. Khan was absolutely wonderful. And at the end of it, he presented me with a sari. Yes. So I have a sari given to me by Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, which I will treasure forever.
Absolutely, yes. We all saw that episode with Bated Breath. This is a lovely, lovely show. Anju, you really, like you rightly said, you said everybody's stories, but you said it so well that you made the collective 100 Sari Pact look very proud in front of an international.
I hope so. I hope so. It was my endeavor. I was not going to stand there alone and beat my chest and say, I did this. I didn't do this. We did it together.
It didn't sound like that at all. It was absolutely wonderful. So now coming back to the 6 yards, which did it all. I wanted to check with you, what's your personal style around a sari? Are you what one would call a frequent wearer, or are you an occasional wearer? Do you have a favorite weave in your wardrobe?
I wear the sari all the time. And I did this even before the 100 Sari Pact. And actually, that's how it began. I said, I have so many saris in my wardrobe, and they've just been lying slightly neglected because we all give into more convenient wearing, something that you can toss into the machine and comes out and drip dries. And I wanted to wear the sari. I had a very, very vibrant 13 years career in television in Bombay. I was a journalist in business. On television, and I wore the sari very often, Kamla, very, very often in my career, very often to give me gravitas in front of the person that I was talking to, whether it was Ratan Tata, Aditya Birla, Nasli Vadia. I was talking to, the heads and the captains of business, and it gave me strength. The sari gave me strength at that time. So I've worn the sari often, very often. Do I wear it now? Yes, I do. I enjoy my saris. Do I have a favorite weave? I like a lot of saris. Okay, so I'm actually wearing an ikat today.
Yes.
It's from my trousseau. It's from my wedding trousseau.
Oh, nice.
I love the magic of ikat. I truly, truly love it. Is it my favorite and not my favorite? I'm not going to say, but I'm going to say what I really, really appreciate about it. Weaving, as you know very, very well, and as a lot of people now know, thanks to the many, many groups of saris that they are parts of, weaving is magic. And weaving can create something of immense beauty. But weaving is a science. It requires precision. It requires concentration. It requires days of work. It's a project. And I feel that when you take an ikat is a bit of a mix of a tie and dye, and a bit of a mix of putting that yarn in such a manner that you have these very precise. For example, if you see this is boxes, and there's flowers, and there's a geometric pattern. To get that green sitting there in that position took a whole matrix of math to arrive there. I am fascinated by ikat. I mean, if I could, I have some ikat saris in cotton and in silk. I'm fascinated. Ikat fascinates me. Tie and dye fascinates me. Of course, as little kids, my mom would make us do hankies and dupattas and make us tie that, and then dip in at home in dyes, and then, opening that, unraveling that to see kya bana, because one, you can plan, and then there's magic. What happens beyond that, right? But in a weave like ikat, yes, there can be magic, but there also has to be that pattern. So that pattern, that setting of the pattern, I find fascinating.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating how weavers who are supposedly what we understand as illiterate are such perfect mathematicians, and they do it with such precision and skill that you wonder what the definition of literacy should actually mean, right?
Yeah, it's made me think, for sure. It's made me think after the 100 pact, we this is muscle memory. This is hand memory. Passed down through generations, Kamla. It's not just that one day you get up and become a weaver. You and I can't become weavers, by the way. Bhul jao. So it's generations of learning that comes into those hands as they pull that, and the warp and the weft that they're working on so deftly. You must have seen it happen. A lot of women, all you have to do is Google a video, YouTube Zindabad, to know how a sari is made. And please, if you haven't, your audience, please go and see how a sari is hand woven, and then you will really, really begin to appreciate what you wear much, much more. And I think that part of the story, that untold part of the story, is also something that came up in the 100 Sari Pact. Until, and again, I am not your weaver versus power loom kind of person, because I find that the kind of trouble that is taken in a power loom, it may not be the same as this, but everyone suffers. The industry is suffering. So, I completely understand why they want to do power loom instead of doing hand weaving. I understand that. I have talked to weavers, and I have seen them, for the hand loom, you have to go into a pit. It's a pit where it's called the khadda, where that wooden loom is kept. And I have weavers saying that they sit there for 8 hours and they have ants crawling on their feet, and they don't get up because they want to finish that, because they will get money for that. That's the kind of conditions our weavers are in, literally. So, you have to have an appreciation for this hand-woven, handmade piece of history. But what a thing of beauty. I mean, the pallu, the border, it's mesmerizing.
Poetry in fabric. So, Anju, you famously always say that every sari has a story. And if you were to narrate a favorite sari story that's personally yours, what would that be?
Hi. I'm thinking, because I have so many personal favorites. I'll tell you one story. I really, I mean, the 100saripact.com is there, and all of my 100 stories are there, and I have many more stories from that time, since in the 5 years that have gone by. But why don't I tell you a recent story? Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a beautiful story. I turned 50 in 2018, and I
Congrats.
had and I had my husband threw me a fantastic. It was like a shadi. We had a beautiful party, and my past, my future, and my present kind of came and met there. Literally, it was so beautiful. I had friends from I had not met them for very very long. I had people there that were definitely my present and definitely I've carried into my future. So I've always told him that you brought that all together for me, and that's my greatest gift. Um, at that party, I understandably was gifted many saris. It's a very easy gift thought now. Anju ko kya dena hai? Sari
Study
de do. Yeah, and I love it. I love it. I love how people choose the sari for me. But there was this one sari that came to me from a friend, and the note that she wrote was just so beautiful. It's a lal par. A lal par, for those who don't know, is a Bengali for red and white. It's a tassar, and it has this beautiful chand balis, um, not woven, sorry, embroidered in gold thread over it. So it's not just a white and red sari, but it has a bit of a dull gold also. And she wrote in to say, I know your story, and I had written a story in the 100 Sari Pact about not having my wedding sari because it is our tradition to give our wedding sari away. I'm Haryanvi, to the sister-in-law. So you
Oh,
don't get to keep your wedding sari. You have to give it away. And I was very, very annoyed with my mother. And I said, Maini karti, I'm not going to do this. And she said, no, beta, you have to do this. So you have to give it away. So I don't have my wedding sari. Like a lot of people have their wedding sari. And I've said this on the 100 side, I don't have my wedding sari. And she gave me this. And she said, in Bengalis, we wear the lal par as the wedding sari. And this is a sari, not to replace perhaps your wedding sari, but to keep with you as a renewal of your wedding sari, of that story that started there. And consider it coming from your Maika,
how sweet.
from your mother's home. I didn't wear it, Kamla, for all of these years. I'll send you a photo. I just wore it in the lockdown. My husband and I celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary,
Oh,
and I took that sari and I wore it, and it just made me feel special. It was lockdown. We were sitting in our home here, literally, uh, having Zoom calls with family. But I dressed up. I dressed up like a bride. So it's a special story.
beautiful. And so touching that somebody actually remembered your story, decided to make
Exactly.
a gift of that, and you were able to live your past and your present through that. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
that
And she also made, and this lady, Debjani is my friend who presented this to me. She reached out to Parama, who's another dear friend, also all met on the 100 Sari Pact, who actually makes saris. So she
yeah,
actually asked Parama to customize this sari for me. And I just thought this was incredible, right? I mean, I met these women on the 100 Sari Pact. Uh, and for them to take the effort and to do something like that for me, humility, my gosh, teaches you so often to bow down your head in gratitude. I do that every day.
absolutely. How nice. And you've earned all that love and affection of so
Thank you.
many people.
Thank you. Thank
Lovely.
you.
I mean, I think this is probably the last question, if you like. What I would like to ask you today is there a hashtag 100 Sari Pact reloaded that we can expect from you soon?
It is. I've already actually announced it. So, sorry, I'm going to start again. It is. I've already announced it, actually. You must have seen it. It's the 100 Sari Pact Reloaded podcast. Over the years, in the last 5 years, I've had meetings with all of these lovely women and men who are now part of my life. And every time that I meet someone from the 100 Sari Pact, they say, Anju, we used to have so much fun. We learned so much. Why don't you start this again? And I always say, you can't redo a phenomena. It was a phenomena. It would have been very easy, Kamla, for me to say, I now declare the 100 Sari Pack version 2 and version 2.3 and version 2.5, whatever. I could have done it every year and milked it for all that it was. Did I want to? No. It was a very conscious decision to close it in that year because it was about a phenomena. It was about making impact. It was about growing, and it was about closure. During the lockdown, I began to, we all speak from a place of privilege, right? We have a home, we have beautiful saris to wear, we have clothes to wear, we have food to eat. We have seen how other people have suffered, not only in our country, but also abroad. People are dying. I thought, I asked myself this, could I do something that can bring together the little communities that I have built around me? Could I bring them together again in a sense of strength, positivity, truth, and hope? And I thought I would do a podcast on the 100 Sari Pack this time. Invite people, and I invite all of your viewers to send me stories, to write into me. I am anju@webtv.in. I'll ask Kamla to share my email with you guys. To write into me. If you have a compelling sari story to tell it to us. I will carry it as a podcast. I will carry it on our website. I think it's time to start rebuilding ourselves post-COVID times. And I find that the rebuilding perhaps can happen through our storytelling one more time. Is it only for the past people who've been in the 100 Sari Pack Club? No, it's for everyone. It's for everyone. I want everyone to join in the storytelling. I've taken it away from the social media aspect of it because, like I said, everyone's part of many groups and people are busy with their lives. And I don't want them to feel compelled like, oh my God. A lot of times there was also pressure. Oh my God, I have to post, you know? So I'm like, take your time. Think of a couple of stories you really want to tell. And then, connect with me and I'll record this with you and we'll send it out there into the universe with lots of good wishes.
Well, that's beautiful. I wish every success for this lovely initiative of yours, because like you rightly said, in times like this, you really need those bonds of sisterhood, friendship to be ignited again, because that's what keeps us sane when we are in lockdown, right? So thank you very much, Anju, for being a part of my show today. It was so much fun connecting back with you, sharing your stories. And may the Almighty bless you with all the best for all your endeavors.
Thank you so much. And I'm waiting to hear your story on the podcast.
100%.
Yeah,
definitely.
Right.
Thank
you for having me. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for watching our weekly episodes on Touring Talkies. Do stay tuned for further episodes and future updates on our Facebook and Instagram page. Do leave your comments, suggestions, and feedbacks on this video right below the video. Thank you very much.